So what is and who made the greatest trade in history? Over the course of the last 100 years, billion-dollar trades have been made. In fact, the likes of George Soros, Paul Tudor Jones, Stan Druckenmiller have all made monster trades, and in the case of George Soros, $1 billion. But there is one trade that stands head and shoulders above everything else. One trade that is the greatest trade in history. The man who made that trade, incidentally, still has that trade open today. He bought his first shares and made his first trade at the age of 11 in 1942. By the age of 33, he was already a billionaire. And it wasn't until 5 decades later that he made the ultimate trade, which today is the greatest trade in history. I doubt anybody will ever make a trade that has made this much money. So who is it? If you guessed Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time, you would be correct. Buffett bought his first shares of City Services Preferred at age 11 in 1942. But he waited until 2016 to make what is today the greatest trade in history. You see, Warren Buffett for many years said that he didn't understand technology. He wouldn't invest in technology businesses, even though Bill Gates was a good mate. In 2010, Warren Buffett hired a gentleman by the name of Todd Coombs. 2 years later, he hired another investor by the name of Ted Weschler. And both of those gentlemen today form part of the Berkshire Hathaway investment team. It is unclear whether or not these two gentlemen contributed to the decision making of Warren Buffett to make this particular trade. But in 2016, after watching this company for decades, he finally decided to make the investment. And in 2016, he bought a little over 229 million shares of this particular business. The investment was around about $6 billion US. The company? Apple. A technology company. The company that Warren Buffett said he would never likely own because it wasn't within his circle of competence. That investment today, just around 6 years later, in July 2022, from the initial investment of around 229 million shares, is today worth over $138 billion. That's a profit of around $132 billion. And Buffett still owns the shares today. The dividends that Warren Buffett receives from that one investment is over $1.2 billion every year. It is now the largest position in the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio and makes up over 40% of the $300 billion plus portfolio that Berkshire Hathaway has. And interestingly, Warren Buffett every year since 2016 has actually been buying more shares of Apple, a company in the technology sector that he said he would likely never invest in. There have been other great trades. There have been other great investments made. but nothing comes close to the investment that Warren Buffett made in 2016 and the profit that he sits on today of a little over $138.5 billion. In the coming days, I'll share with you some more investors and the profits they have made from the investments that they've made. None of them come close to Buffett, but there is one defining principle that every one of them looks for, uses. It must be part of the decision-making process, and I'll share that with you as we go on a journey to find out who are the greatest investors of all time. Until next time, keep investing.